today, let's quickly look at one thing that is very, very crucial. Something is going on. Something is happening. Prophecies are being fulfilled in such rapid way or rapid measure. Right. The days we are into is the days we can say prophecies are wrapping up. This afternoon, let us look at kings and globalists of the earth and 1 week rule. Kings and globalists of the earth in 1 week rule. Let's put IN there, in. Now, when we look at what we read in Daniel chapter 8, in Daniel chapter 9, that's straight to Daniel chapter 10. But then we look at Daniel chapter 11. When we look at those biblical prophecies that came from Daniel, and we look at what Yahshua did when he ascended into heaven, a little while the Father gave him scroll, a book, and what contained in that book was given to us as the book of Revelation. The Father called Yahshua, handed it to him. He said, give to your people. And Yahshua called his angel, and the angel called John in the island of Patmos. And John revealed to us everything that we are described in the book of John, a book of Revelation. Book of Revelation is book of John, because John wrote it. As Yahshua was telling him what was happening, both in vision, both in figurative way, dramatic way, he was writing it down. Yahshua will say, write. There are some, Yahshua said, don't write this, don't write this. For instance, when you get to Revelation chapter 10, there is something there that, that is loaded. So don't write it. It will not be disclosed. But it will be disclosed typically at the last end of the time. Just like the book of Daniel. At a point, when Gabriel was revealing what is going to happen in these latter days, he said to Daniel, Daniel, seal this book. Seal all that I have given you. The vision, revelation, the messages are passed to you, seal them. Don't disclose to anybody. And those were kept in the Hebrew language. It was not translated into Aramaic language or Greek. The last portion of book of Daniel, particularly from chapter 8, 9, 10 to 12, they were constructed in Hebrew. It was not passed to other languages. And it was kept secret. This was revealed by Yahshua himself when he gave every detail to who? To Daniel. To John. To who was these messages? Daniel, the prophets, and Yahshua. To who was these messages meant for? Who did the Father ask him to pass this message, this information? Was it to the people of the world? No, it was to the elect Israelites. Because in these latter days, Satan has mapped out to destroy the entire Israelites. In him, because he felt the world has been caught. The world was within his confine. The world has been taken over by him. He's the ruler of the world. He's the God of this world. He is the Elohim of this world. That is what 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 told us. That is what, he declared in Revelation chapter 13. He is the Elohim of this world already, the God of this world. So all that we are in this world, the Gentile worldly people, the hidden world, they all were in his purse or pocket or at his arm. He has enslaved all, remaining one people, remaining one nation, remaining one little group of people called Israel. They are to die because they will not take to his instruction, they will not follow his law, they will not follow his government, they will not fall within his globalist government. Now, the kings of the earth and the globalists, they are working hand in hand with Satan to do what? To put in place what is called the one world government. That is what they are fighting. And the revelation from Daniel to Revelation to the book of Revelation, that is what those books reveal to us. The coming of one world government, the coming of the beast that is going to, take leadership, mount authority and power and control everything in the world. And he will sit in Jerusalem. He said, I have arrived. I will go to, if you look at the book of Isaiah, such ministration came from his head. I will go to the northern part of the month of YAH, and I'm going to put my throne there. He was referring to Jerusalem. So he will go, and will he do it? He will do it. The Bible predicted and projected he's going to do it. What we read this morning, if we are careful listening to Daniel, you will hear where he said he is going to bring that place down, and he's going to build his sanctuary, and he's going to, make the people to worship him in that land. And from there, every nation, every kingdom will bow to him. Anybody that will not bow to him will do what? Will be cut off. They talk about the mark of the beast, mark of this, mark of that. That is where he's going to operate. And the image, YAHSHUA, even in Matthew 24, verse 15, and the book of Mark, warned us and told us that when you see that image constructed and put in the place of the tabernacle or the temple that whatever that temple is going to be, you should know that the end has come. That is the last pointer to the action and the beast, the emergence of the beast, to showcase who he is. That one who will come in all the power that he can amass, because that beast is going to walk in the power of Satan. It's not going to work by his power. That's why he's going to do so wonders, miracles, signs, wonders. Brethren, the fact is that if you don't get it right from Yahweh's instruction, from Yahweh's word, from Yahweh's teaching, which YAHSHUA gave to us, you will miss the way and you will fall to the enemy. Because the whole deception in this world is being put together. For instance, look at the war that they are fighting now. The war in Ukraine. The East and the West. That's a war. I don't know how many of us understand it. There's a war between the East and... When we are reading the book of Daniel, we saw a war going on between the North and the South. What war? This is what he's talking about. From age to age, from generation to generation, this has been happening. During the time of Assyria, during the time of Babylon, during the time of Medes and Persia, during the time of Greece, during the time of Roman Empire, it has been like that. And Yahweh has been on, trying to do what? Stop the beast from emerging. Why is he stopping the beast from emerging? Remember, the disciples asked YAHSHUA, when will this be? They wanted timeline to know when it will, what year will this happen? What month? What week? What day? Yahshua said, not even the angels in heaven, not he himself, not even the Son of Man knows the time this thing will happen. Why did Yahweh decided not to disclose the time to Yahshua, to the disciples? Why? Why, brethren? Do we even ask questions in all these things? So it's for a reason. It's because the Israelites are sluggish. It's because the Israelites are never ready at any time. Israelites are wasting their time chasing shadow. What of suddenly? Because it will still happen suddenly. He will not wait for them forever. Yahweh will let go. Yahweh will allow the beast to do that thing because he wants to allow the enemy to play out his card, to finish all his works. At the end of the day, he will not say, Yahweh was wicked. No. Yahweh will allow him to do everything so that when the judgment will hit upon his head, he will not escape. So Yahweh will not wait forever. He will allow the beast to show up. But for 7 days, 7 weeks, Bible said, that is 7 years. You're going to take over the government, the one world government they are fighting for. The East is now fighting the battle. The West is now fighting the battle. They are fighting who will come up tops, who will be in charge. From where will the beast emerge? It's a war. They are going to fight the war. They are going to fight until such a time chaos out of the whole thing will arm them now to bring out the beast. They are working hard towards it. The COVID came, they said, it's COVID, it's disease. Go quarantine. I said, they wanted to, what they are doing is trying to get people to be removed, controlled, however they want to achieve it. To get people, to have the mindset of believing them in whatever they say. The news you are hearing in the West is different from the news those in the East are hearing. Because the leaders of the government, the kings and the globalists who are managing and staging this one world government to come, they are giving different information to their people. Assuming the West want to bring out the beast, the information are given to the people will make the people to, believe them, follow them, and be controllable by them. The same thing in the East. They'll be giving their people the information they want to hear. The information that will make them to support them in their fight to, achieve their objective. But in all this, whether East or West, whether white or black, whether blue or red, at the end of the day, Satan works in, it is called Hegelian principle or Hegelian policy of doing things. Satan does things in 2 ways or multiple ways in order to bring what? Confusion upon the people so that they will not know what is going on. He works with deception, he works with confusion so that you won't know where the truth lies. Or when you even want to think it is falsehood, you wouldn't know where the falsehood is. So you wouldn't know who is telling you the truth. In fact, what they will be packaging to you, what they will be giving you, will be something that you think is original, is the correct idea, is the truth happening. Now, let's quickly look at some few things that we need to do or we need to hear that will set this discourse. We are going to run it part 1 and part 2. Maybe next week we look at the second part. Perhaps, if Yahweh wills, we take it to the second part. Otherwise, I intend to do it just part 1. But let's see how far we will go. But first and foremost, take note of where we are going. That the issue, whatever that is trying to happen in this earth, the mayhem, the trouble, the great tribulation, the wrath of Yahweh is going to come first and foremost against Israel. It's going to hit Israel. Because the judgment, when it starts, it will start from the house of Yahweh. Yahweh will first of all judge his people. So Israel is number 1 target. Israel is number 1 enemy. And when this thing will be happening, Israelites that are not ready, they will be enemy of Yahweh, because Yahweh will not spare them. Yahweh will not spare them. So Israel is number one target. In whatever the kings and the globalists of the earth are working to bring in one world government, Israelites are number one target to clear them away, because they are not needed. Why? Because they will not flow in their government. They will be a hindrance to the government of Satan, government of the beast, government of the world. So they will be taken away. And that government is for 1 week. That is 7 years. Another thing you have to take on board is that in one world government, the head is Satan. Then in the other government, if you have looked at Daniel chapter 2, Yahweh clearly spelled out to Israel, again, spelled out to Israel, the governments, different governments or empires that will come and rule this world. And each and every one of them will be adversary against Israel. Is it Assyria? Is it Babylon? In fact, Babylon came and cut them away. It was Assyria that scattered the 10 tribes of Israel before the tribe of Judah was taken away by Babylon. On and on. Then in the empire of Medes and Persia, Yahweh made Cyrus to have mercy, to have pity on them. He said, I appoint Cyrus. I named Cyrus. He doesn't know me, but I called him. From his mother's womb, I named him. I knew him. And I have appointed him because of you, you tribe of Judah. So he will make a way for you to go back home and build the walls of Jerusalem. Build the temple of Jerusalem. Rebuild that temple. And begin to do your worship again. Then after that, remember when Daniel was praying, he took notice of what will be happening. He called it vision he saw about his people. Because it had taken almost 70 years. And Yahweh promised that by 70 years he will return them back to the land. But it's like nothing was happening in heaven. It's like there was no link between heaven and earth to begin to prepare them to move back as they were moved from Egypt down to the land of Canaan. There was no sign at all. And Daniel, meditating upon this, read what was spoken by Jeremiah, where Yahweh promised Jeremiah, told Jeremiah, these people will be going to Babylon, but after 70 years of their stay, he's going to bring them back. So Daniel was not seeing any sign for them returning back. So he entered into the prayer. In fact, he first of all saw the vision in chapter 8. In chapter 9, it's like he was waiting. He didn't even understand the vision. Oh, what has happened to my people? Our people are going to perish in the land of Babylon. These people are going to destroy us, because what is happening now is what, in fact, what is about to happen now is what was happening then. Israelites were not saved. Remember Mordecai, the story of Mordecai and who was that? Mordecai and
Esther.
No. That guy who was second in command of the king.
Forget.
Bible student, help me. Who is that? Who is? Sorry. The second in command of the king.
Yeah.
Who wanted to destroy Mordecai, who wanted to kill Mordecai so that he can destroy the people of Judah. Who was that?
It was Haran, wasn't it?
He was in the pit, is it?
Okay. We have given ourselves assignment. Let's go to the book of Daniel. Is it book of Daniel or Esther? It should be Esther, isn't it?
It's Haman.
It's Haman. Thank you. Okay. It's good. At times, this kind of quiz will come onto our head. Because this is our story. We need to know it. It's our story. It's our history. It's our way of life. It's what we passed through in the time past. What our ancient fathers passed through. We're supposed to know it. So Haman wanted to destroy Mordecai. Why? He was envious. He was jealous. He saw. He knew within him that man is extraordinary fellow. Because he felt, oh, Mordecai, you don't bow to me, you don't kneel down to me anytime I'm passing, therefore you must be destroyed. You're not part of this government, you're not part of this system. What they are planning now and what they are introducing now is what happened then. So Daniel has seen all these things going on, and he said, hey, Father, that was Daniel chapter 9. He began to pray after seeing that vision, because it wasn't a good news. Vision in chapter 7, in fact, vision from chapter 2, 7 up to 8, it wasn't good news. How will my people be saved from what is going on around them? Babylon will wipe them away. But then, ABBA YAH has prepared Cyrus to get ready. When the time comes from Medes and Persia, you are going to overthrow Babylon, and after overthrowing Babylon, you are going to let my people go. So, the plot against Israelites that were in Babylon made Daniel to enter into fasting. He thought it would be 1 day fasting or 2 days fasting or 3 days highest. But the answer was coming. Then he continued. Yahweh, when will your people go? Yahweh, when your people are dying? Well, it is not your fault. It is our fault. We sinned, we break the law, transgression, and all the curses placed against those who break the law have come upon us. And because of that, these curses is just death. Babylon is coming to destroy us. The curses are on us. Save your people. As he prayed and prayed and prayed, he said, but Father, this thing is not just only about our being exterminated. Remember your name. Remember whom you are. Remember your covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember your word. How will you allow your word to be trodden on the ground? You have said that in 70 years after our stay in this land, you are going to take us or bring us back to the land. But we are still here. Your name is at stake. Your word is at stake. Do something about it. By the time he finished, in fact, it didn't take 24 hours. Gabriel showed up. And that's what we read in Daniel chapter 9. That's what we read in Daniel chapter 9. You can see that from verses 20 to 23 up to 27, Gabriel showed up and began to expose, began to disclose to Daniel the vision he saw in chapter 8, which he didn't understand. He made, in fact, he now opened everything up. Not only did Yahweh accept, say, oh, you are going back home, but in the later days, Israelites are going to be in problem. They have served their punishment of 70 years. They will be going back home, but in the years, later years, they are going to be in problem. Now, let us read some things in chapter 8 before we go to continue with that chapter 9. He makes a statement as he was talking to Daniel in chapter 8 about what the vision he saw. Let's read about that vision from 15. Daniel chapter 8 from 15. And it came to pass, when even I, Daniel, and had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man, And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man, that is Daniel, to understand the vision. What he was saying, because it was like a recorded program. He was visualizing, he was watching it. What will be happening to them? What they had passed through. Right from the time they were in Jerusalem, what they went through, how they came into the land, how they are going to suffer, and what they have suffered even. And perhaps they are going back home. So he was like programmed to watch like a film how Israel misbehaved. That's why that was where he got the knowledge of the prayer he prayed. It was from that vision. It revealed to him so much because their problem was breaking the law. And he spoke so much about it in that Daniel chapter 9. So, verse 16, he went on, and I heard a man's voice between the banks of Eli, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, that is where Daniel stood. And when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end, at the end shall be the vision. So he approached him, he told him, what you are seeing is meant for the end period of time. Though what he was waiting for was they are going home. How will we go home? And what will happen to our people? Will we go home successfully? Like our fathers left Egypt and got home at the end. Because they had crisis in the wilderness. Many were wiped out. How will we survive? How will we go? You promised we will go. How will we go? That wasn't even the issue. That was part of the answers he wanted. But the major thing is what will be happening to Israel in the later days. Will Israel be a nation or will they be wiped out? Now, verse 18. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face towards the ground. But he touched me and set me upright. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed, the end shall be. At the latter days, there is indignation. Though they have served their punishment, but to the people of Israel, they still have problems. Internal problems, indwell problems, problem in their bone, problem in their blood. They have problem they need to sort out, and they will pay the price. The problem is sin. We are still living in sin. And the price they will pay in the later days will be when that price will be paid. The ram, which stands for Mess and Persia, which thou sawest, having two horns, are the kings of Media and Persia. And the rough goat is the king of Gracia. He's explaining what he saw. Now, Gabriel had gone ahead of Daniel, trying to show him what will come immediately after they are excused, after they are released from Babylon. This kingdom was almost there, but it hasn't blossomed, let alone expanding itself. And look at the kingdom that will topple it. Daniel never knew anything about the kingdom that will topple it. That is the kingdom of Gracia. The kingdom that will come with 4 generals, plus their leader, Alexander, who, when he dies, the 4 powers, called the 4 kings or the 4 winds, we take over the realm of the government or the kingdom or the empire of Alexander. So those four will distribute powers and they will be ruling. So what will happen to them during the time of Gracia? He never had idea. He thought that they were to be liberated from Babylon. Then after Babylon, they will go home. But Medes and Persia was there to work, to do terrible things against them. Though somehow, through Medes and Persia, they were secure because Cyrus was, he rose from that power, that empire, and pushed their way. And in the time of one of the kings that arose in the days of Ezra, a decree was signed that Israel should leave, go back to their land. And that was how they escaped. They went back to their land. But that wasn't the only problem that needed to be solved. There is big problem that awaits Israel that Daniel never had idea, though he has had the vision. And that's why after seeing that vision, in fact, for almost 1 week he broke down. He was sick. Bible said Daniel fell sick for almost a week because of what he saw that will happen to Israel. We in this our time that Yahweh had written many things through Daniel, through all the prophets, through the revelation by Yahshua, who gave us the book of Revelation to expand and to expose everything. Yet we are still slumbering. We are still hesitating. We are still not there. We don't even understand what is coming on. Brethren, what is coming on? No man has the capacity except Yahweh give the grace. Except Yahweh keep us alive. We will not leave. Because these people, look at, is it Russia? Is it America? Are you talking about Britain? What only Britain? If they should release it in the air, the world will collapse. Let alone these countries that have acquired chemical, biological, all manner of nuclear weapons. The whole world will sink billion times and be destroyed. And you can hear in the book of Matthew and Mark, Yahshua said that because of the elect, he will hasten up and shorten the days. Because if he wouldn't that, these people will think and think to destroy the earth. Who is giving them that thought? Satan. Wipe, because you know that if he doesn't catch Israel to destroy Israel, then he'll wipe the entire earth. That's right. Because he knew that Israel will be an opposition. Israel will not allow him to sit in Jerusalem and govern the world. No matter how you kill Israel, they're like ants. No matter how you do, they will still, small portion of them will rise and fight you to your bone. So he wouldn't want that. So he wanted to finish them. Let's go on. Verse 20, 21. And although the rough goat is the king of the Gracia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, that is Alexander, their leader. Now that being broken, that is Alexander being killed or destroyed, whereas 4 stood up, that is his 4 generals. For it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. 4 nations. So those generals, after Alexander is gone, those 4 generals will continue. But they will take the kingdom, they will divide the kingdom, each on his own, So the kingdom will be broken into 4 places. Verse 23. And in the later time, so Angel Gabriel is telling Daniel that in the later time, it's not even, he wasn't even talking about what will happen within the period of Medes and Persia and Gracia only. He was asking him to extend and deep down, look down and see what will happen in the later days. But he wouldn't see it. And that's why he said, don't worry, seal the prophecy. Just close it, wrap it up. Don't allow anybody to know about it. Because even if you tell somebody, they will not understand. As you did not understand it, nobody will understand it. until the later days. In fact, Jeremiah, when he was writing about the same matter, he said, you do not know now, but in the later time, in the later age, you will understand. And we are beginning to understand. We are getting it clearer and clearer every day. Though those who are not willing, those who are not keen to escape, Yahshua said, watch and pray, watch and pray. Where are you watching? Where are you praying? Because if you are not watching, if you are not praying, you will not understand. He will not reveal anything to you. This is not a question of pastor teach me, or teacher teach me, pope teach me. No, nobody. In this latter days, the Spirit will be telling you what you read from the Bible and be explaining it to you. Though you be guided by your teacher, fine. But then, Yahweh expects you to have knowledge. Because he walk with you one-on-one. That's why he gave us the Holy Spirit. He said the Holy Spirit be a comforter. Holy Spirit be a comforter. So that is very, very important. We must take that on board as we daily live our lives. We must make sure we are close to our Bible. We are close to understanding what the Spirit is giving to us in these latter days. Now, verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, all these kings, the four of them, when their transgressions would have come to full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. This is the one coming from Rome, Roman Empire. We raise another that will stand in. These empires, they don't rest. They continue to bring out the wicked, the beast, every now and then. Who have been stopping them? Yahweh has been fighting them with his angels. Do you know how many angels that Yahweh keep around humanity, around his people, particularly Israelites, so that they will not be cut short? Since all these people, since Assyria, Babylon, Mesopotamia, Persia, Greece, up to Roman Empire, do you know how many angels that watch over you? Verse 24. And his power shall be mighty. That is the one that is going to rise from Roman Empire. But not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully. This one is going to destroy wonderfully. This Roman Empire power, the little horn again that is going to arise from them, is going to be powerful. That is the beast of these latter days. So Gabriel was explaining to Daniel, a beast is going to come on board. You don't have idea. Because it's something that is going to happen in the later days. We're going to see how he calibrated it and the time frame. And then he will going to see where we are sitting now, where we are. That we are at the time and in the very, very time of Yahweh's grace. He has given us grace, so sufficient grace to awake. If even before the noon passes by, or even the day passes by, if Yahweh may choose to say the time is over, because the time has been over since. You will see it from the Bible. The time has been over. We are living in the time of grace. The Bible has proved it. I read it myself, I saw it. He gave us the timelines. Timelines. Pay attention. Let me repeat that 24 again. And his power shall be mighty. This is the beast. But not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully. Why is it that it's not by his own power? The Satan is going to give him power. Revelation chapter 13 said that Satan will give him his seat. We give him his power and authority. To do what? To cause men to worship Satan. The beast is going to do the work. Prepare the heart of man to submit to him. It will be, he will act as the Messiah. Then at the end of the day, people will say, you are the one we are waiting for. They will worship and they will do it. Who are they worshiping? It's not the beast. It's Satan that is taking glory through the beast. That is what is happening. That is what is coming on. That is what they are preparing human beings. Worship. Worship. Whether it is Mark or whatever. What is Mark? Mark is a bet towards worship. And he shall destroy wonderfully and shall prosper. This power is going to be rich, extraordinary, stinkingly rich, and practice and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. See with it. Who are the holy people? Israelites. Right then, wake up. If you are told you are going to somebody, enemies are waiting you to finish you. Why are you waiting? What are you doing? Why not act on what your father says you should do so that you can escape? Say, watch and pray so that you escape before the troubled day. And stand before the Son of Man, YAHSHUA Messiah, because he's coming to rescue his people. So this power, Revelation chapter 13, 1 to 5. Somebody help me read. Revelation chapter 13, 1 to 5. Brahma, are you there? Can you help me read? Revelation 13, 1 to 5. Let us look at the beast. I know we have read it sometime at our own time to know that that is the beast. But let's see where this beast is going to draw his power to cause people to worship. Because Satan is only engineering. He's just trying to raise somebody to take after his way or abide by his instructions so that he can destroy the people of Yahweh.
Let me read it.
No, don't worry, let Mike help us hold it.
Right.
Revelation chapter 13, 1 to 5, please.
Okay. And I read. And I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast coming up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads names of blasphemy. And on his heads names of blasphemy. And the beast I saw was like a leopard, and his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his throne and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as having been slain to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the earth marveled at the beast. And they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like the beast? Who is able to fight him? And he has given a mouth, speaking great matters and blasphemies. And he was given authority to do so 42 months.
For 3.5 years, he was given power. Because 7 years, for the last 3.5 years was for destruction unto him. He is going to use all the power of Satan to devastate the earth. But look at what the Bible said there. The book of Revelation said there. Now, if you look at Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 2 gave us an image. Explain the image to Nebuchadnezzar. And that image, it's about 4 empires that were calibrated. There was the 5th empire. If you read in between lines, you will see a stone that was cut with that hand that is going to shatter the feet of that image. Who is that 5th power? YAHSHUA Messiah. That is the kingdom of this earth. At the end of the day, the feet that will be standing that time will be the last end of the Roman Empire. That is this latter days now. So we are at the verge of Yahshua coming back to destroy this kingdom of man that is controlled and ruled by Satan. Now, in that image, the first empire, Babylon, second empire, Medes and Persia, third empire, Greece, the fourth empire, Roman Empire. Now, you can see how Yahshua put them together and told us that all those reign or power or empires are one. That image is one image. From the head, it will move down to the legs. And today, it's within the legs. That's Roman Empire. And that Roman Empire has, managed itself fought. And at the end of the day, it has shaped to small little horn. And it's divided into 2. The 2 legs are still standing. One is to the east, one is to the west. Are you getting something there? And today, where is the war being fought? what is happening? America is part of the West. Russia is part of the East. Something is happening, brethren. And if you look at Turkey, look at Iraq, Turkey, look at Iran, all those in those axes within the Macedonia area, you will see that there is a river, big river. That river is a very sensitive river in biblical terms. That river Euphrates, from there will emerge four what? 4 demons, 4 spirits that Yahweh banished. Say they are demons or angels, whatever, that they misbehaved and caused ruin on earth. He banished them around that place, and they are going to come on board. Whatever that is going to happen to this earth, watch out. Iraq, Iran, Syria, then who? Russia will help them. Russia will join them. Even China may help them, but I don't know how far China will help them. And America will get a blow before the last onslaught, whatever that is going. Book of Isaiah talk about that. I think Isaiah 47 talk about the fall of the Babylon the Great. Jeremiah 50:51 talk about the fall of the Babylon the Great. In fact, Revelation chapter 18 talk about the fall of Babylon. That is America. America will go down before they will achieve what they want to achieve. They're working hard. Now, what America is doing is to prepare the coming of the beast, even. Knowingly or unknowingly, they're working hard for the coming of the beast. But it may not be there when the beast will come, because the beast will come from the east, not from the west. If it were from the west, America will not go down. America will remain. But because the east will work hard to bring America down. And so many entities within America is working hard through politics, through so many things that they are creating now. But it is me, self. They will fight themselves, and as they are fighting, the enemy will come from behind and sweep them away. It's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. Now, that image in Daniel chapter 2 configured into one, and that one is the beast, and that is what we read in verse 2 of Revelation chapter 13, verse 2 there. You see, mention them, like a leopard. One was like bear, another one, was like lion, and so on and so forth. And all of them configured into one. And he said, the beast was given power. The dragon gave him that power and his seat and great authority. To do what? Verse 13. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded. That is the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire is wounded. Chapter 13, verse 3. The Roman Empire that is wounded is going to do what? The eastern side has been moribund, kind of, dead, kind of, but it's going to wake up. We are wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon. Who did they worship? Is it the beast? They will be worshipping the beast in a way, but it is who? The dragon, Satan, that will be taking the glory, because he is the one that plotted this coup. So at the end of the day, he is going to emerge taking the glory, taking the worship, which gave power unto the beast, because he is the one that gave the power to the beast. And they worshipped the beast. You see, here it appears as if it's the beast, but it's the Satan. The first sentence there shows you that it's Satan that is taking all the whole thing. The beast is a proxy leader working for him. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to war with him? And he had mouth to speak so many ugly things against Yahweh and the saints and the people of Yahweh. And at the end of the day, they were going to plot to say, make an image. By that time, he has set up his feet in Jerusalem. He has taken over, and he's going to build his sanctuary. Though they said there will be temple there, so he's going to occupy that temple and sack all the people that are there. He's going to take it over, and he's going to put his image, and he asks everybody to bow to the image. Worship, physical worship is coming up. Whether you call it microchip, this and that and that, and all those things are in Satan's confusing and all manner of things. None of them is good. All they are satanic weapon. But the thing is, physical worship is coming because the beast is going to take worship. What Babylon did, Nebuchadnezzar, he constructed image. People literally bowed. Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego said, we will never do that. Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego represented Israel. Israelites that were obedient. They said they will not bow to that image. And they were taken to the fire. And guess what? Yahshua showed up. In this letter, Yahshua said, awake, that he's going to show up. Because when the trouble is everywhere, they're going to torture, they're going to do so many things. He will be in amongst you. So whether you're in water, he'll be with you. Whether you're in fire, he'll be with you. Isaiah 43 verse 1 to 3. That's what he promised us. That's what he promised us. What are you waiting for? Verse 25. And through his policy, the policy of the beast, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. 3.5 years of the 7 years. The first 3.5 years, craft will look at what is happening today. Internet, technology, all those will flourish in his hand. So that is what he's going to use to rule. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace, he will be crying peace, peace. Within the 3.5 years, he will be crying peace, peace all over the world, because chaos and everything, he will use peace to settle everything. People will rally around him, and he will, deceive everybody. And by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. He will stand up against YAHSHUA Messiah, the true Messiah of Israel. He will say, I am the big boss. I am the commander-in-chief. I control heaven. I control earth. I control every human being, including Yahshua. He will open his mouth wide and abuse our Messiah. We saw it in Revelation chapter 13, verse 5. Begin to abuse Yahweh. Begin to abuse Yahshua. But he shall be broken without hand. Remember in chapter 2, Daniel chapter 2, we are told a stone that was cut without hand will straight away shatter. If you look at Babylon is Fallen, our book. Have you seen our book? The image. That is from that particular chapter 2 that something was gotten. If you look at it, you see it. You see that image. That is, you see something like a flash of light from heaven shattering the feet of the image. That is the Babylon that is going down. That is this latter days beastly rule going down. So Yahshua is the fifth power in that calibration, in that Daniel chapter 2. Yahshua is the fifth power after Roman Empire. So Yahshua will come in and do what? Take over them, destroy, catch up with the beasts, catch up with the false prophets, destroy them. They are the first two that will first test what is called hell. First be destroyed and be destroyed to ashes. Hell, it means returning back to dust. Those two first. Then Satan will be caught. Revelation chapter 20 says Satan will be caught. He will send his angel, he will bind him, he will throw him into dungeon. For how many years? For 1,000 years. Satan and all his demons, they will be swept away. Because if they are left renovating the world and working on the people of Yahweh will be tough again. So there will be no contest. 1,000 years of this earth, Satan will not test it. Satan will not send his forces to disturb anybody. But then it will be a choice of individual, because many people will still harden their heart because they've been trained by Satan to harden their heart. as today people have hardened their hearts. Even when Yahweh is screaming and telling them, stand to run, they don't want to hear. So Yahshua is going to be the fifth, coming down to do what? To destroy, and his government will have no end. He will take over the earth forever. He will be the ruler. People said he will go back to heaven. How can he? He has war in his hands. He is fighting. When he's coming back, he's coming to fight. He's coming to judge the earth. And somebody said he's going back to rapture. That is stupid theology. It doesn't exist. It's not in the Bible. Satan has used it to brainwash those who are dead. They are dead. Because they bought that mental, stupid, lecture of Satan. 26. And the division of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days. What you have seen, what has been discussed to you, the beast that is coming, the Roman Empire beast, it is in the latter days. Daniel, you would have gone a long time ago. There will be so much days, not many years. And since then, even till the time Yahshua came, many years has passed. Since the time Yahshua came up to this day, 2,000 years have gone. So the Bible was correct by the prophecy. The Angel Gabriel was correct by telling Daniel, you will not see what is coming on. Don't worry, relax. You'll be having your rest. Then when the time comes, Yahshua will resurrect you. Don't worry about it. 27. And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days. Afterward, I rose up and did the king's business. And I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. Nobody. Not even Daniel himself. Nobody understood it. Then, having set this preamble of what is to come, chapter 9 is loaded. When Daniel saw it, because I believe in the vision, he saw the rumbling of the world. He saw the tumbling of the world. He saw fire. He saw earthquake. He saw flood. He saw fire. He saw destruction. He saw weapon. He saw chemical, biological. But he didn't understand because they were not existing in his time. And he didn't have what to express them. And the angel said, all you saw, all you see is against your people. But it will be in the later days. Don't worry about that. Don't let it give you a headache. He was still sick. He was still sick. You see, this thing is loaded for this age. Yet we are not waking up. Would we say, oh, it may not happen during my time? Well, the timetable is in the hands of Yahweh. Don't forget that. Yahweh may say, let me continue to cool down myself. And I wait my people. But he will not wait for forever and ever. He will not. Sunday, Yahweh will say, oh, my patient, I've run out of patience waiting for these people. Let me handle these people the way I want. He will clear his own people. His own people have been enemies of him, and he's not going to save them. He's going to wipe them out. Why? They have broken the everlasting covenant. Isaiah said he's going to sweep them out, that only few men will be left. That's how serious it is. Only few men. Look at what is happening in Ukraine. As soon as the Eastern power begin to throw bomb in Ukraine, what happened? The government put up policy or law. No man should live, particularly from age of 18 to a certain age, that can go to war. Let the women, let the children, and the elderly be moved out. Those who want to go out. But let the men remain. Do you know how many men, young men, vibrant men that have brain, men that have perished in this war? Do you know? What we hear is what they want us to hear. And they cover up so many things so that you will not know. Do you know that many of them are gaining out of the blood that are flowing in Ukraine? Look at how building, high-rising building, how they went overnight. They're sweeping them. They're still sweeping them. They're still destroying them. It's not a small power that has fallen them. Now, chapter 9, from verses 3, 4, 5 up to 19, is the prayer of Daniel. Because when he saw this message, through the vision, through the revelation he had, he didn't know what it was. He began to pray. Are we safe? Can we go back? Can we go? His heart was, save us so that we return back to the land. But beyond that, he's been told that Israel in the later days are in trouble. And this our brother, Daniel, prayed even for us today. Prayed. His prayer, I love reading his prayers every time, and I read it, we read it while we were in the service this morning. Brethren, read it on your own. 1 to 19. Read it on your own. The area that also touched me in that his prayer, verse 19, said, "Oh Yahweh, hear my supplication, hear my prayer, my petition, our people." Daniel was praying for his people. Daniel had prayed, said, "Forgive us our sins, forgive us our transgression. We have sinned. It was our sin that is bringing this trouble to us." We thought we were escaping, going back to the land, but look at the end, our people are going to be finished. If we don't intervene, what will happen? We are going to be wiped out from the world. Oh Yahweh, hear. Oh Yahweh, forgive. Oh Yahweh, hearken and do. Defer not. Be urgent for thy own sake, for thy own sake. Oh our Yah, for thy city and thy people are called by thy name. Israel is called by you. You name them Israel. They're called by your name. The 77 prophecy. Now, from chapter 20, verse 20, you will see where what he was telling Daniel that will happen in these latter days was now opened up, was now declared. How from that time to when they will move back to the land, when the decree will be made, the power that will come in, make a pronouncement that they will go back into the land. Then, from there, they will wait. Yahshua will come in, but they will not believe Yahshua. They will do something that will cause the power, this same beastly power, to cut him off. That is to crucify him. Then Yahshua will be crucified. Yahshua will ascend into heaven. Then, from there till the latter days, before the 7 weeks, there will be a gap of time again. And that gap of a time, we discover that in Matthew 24, when Yahshua was speaking to his disciples and others who were listening to him concerning what will happen in the latter days, they were insisting, when will it be? When will it be? He gave them signs to the point. He said, there will be war, there will be famine, there will be diseases, there will be wars and rumors of wars, and so said all these things have been happening before. But when it is intensified, when it is coming on and on and on and on like that, you know that the time is that his coming in is at the door, that he is at the door, that they should know. But what you pick out from there is that from the time 2,000 years ago till today, there is no prophecy giving us the time we have lived from the time Yahshua came and left 2,000 years ago till now. But there is a prophecy of 1 week. And that is the beginning of the trouble. And that is the time that the Revelator or the Gabriel said that it will come suddenly at the beginning of that problem. What people may not know is that even when there is crisis going on, the beast will come and try to quench the trouble, the chaos, and he will promise them peace, 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 and people will believe him. Then, in a way, he will rope one of them in. They wouldn't know that he's the one, the beast. After 3.5 years, then, when he will go into the temple and position his image and call people to worship him, that is when even Israel will wake up. Most of them will wake up very, very late. And he will kill them. He will pound them because they refuse to worship him. Because that is what he's looking for. If you will not worship the beast, who, in a way is the worship of Satan, then that people, that group, that nation will be wiped out. Because that is what Satan has planned. Anybody who do not buy his way of government or his own way will be destroyed, cannot be part of his kingdom. So that is the secret that is also delivered to us in this chapter 9, particularly from verse 20. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. From verse 20. Yahweh responded to Daniel's prayer before he had even stopped praying. Yahweh sent angel Gabriel to give him an answer. Daniel had been focusing on the 70 years of exile predicted by Jeremiah. Now, if you read it, you will see how Gabriel now came physically here to Daniel, interpreting and explaining to him. In chapter 8, we saw Daniel, seeing everything as a vision. He was sleeping. He was asleep. It was vision he was seeing. But this chapter 9 happened physically. By that time, the prince of Persia, who was fighting who was fighting Gabriel not to come in and bring the message that Daniel would have obtained in chapter 8, caused Gabriel to delay. There was no way he could break in and come in. The prince of Persia is always there. The prince of Assyria, the prince of Babylon, the prince of Persia, the prince of Greeks, the prince of Roman Empire, they are working hard. The beastly princes of the air, we don't see. They are devils and demons that are fronting the work of the beastly human beings that does the evil that Satan has plotted against humanity. So they are at work. If we don't have the powers of Yahweh that come in by his angels, we will be destroyed. Those angels are working hard. So here we see when Gabriel was supported by Michael, and Michael came in to do what? To hold brief for Gabriel to move in. But Daniel said, all of a sudden he saw Gabriel move swiftly to him. And he came and began to tell him what his prayer had been, how Yahweh has answered his prayers, and again, what is going to happen in the later days. So the explanation of these later days was given by numbers, by figures, in years. Let's go through this. From verse 20 to 23, we see most of what happened there and the explanation given. Daniel had been focusing on the 20 years of exile predicted by, 70 years of exile, not 20. 70 years of exile predicted by Jeremiah. Now Gabriel was going to extend Daniel's vision to a period of 70 sevens. 77. That is 70 times 7. 490 years. From there, from that particular time, there will be 490 years that things are going to work out that is going to come in future. By that time, Daniel will have gone. He will have gone. That is part of what Gabriel was telling him. You wouldn't know what is going on. Don't worry. This is future. But beyond that, he gave him another prediction beyond 490 years, which caught up with the time we are into now. Let's move on. Now that is about verse 24. If you look at that verse 24 in Daniel chapter 9. 70 weeks, 70 of sevens are determined upon thy people, Israel, and upon thy holy city, Jerusalem. By this time, they will be in Jerusalem, and something will be happening at that particular time. Unfortunately, the people at that age or that time would have gone. To finish the transgression and to make an end of sins. So something will happen at that time where atonement of sin is going to happen. So there is about how many things that he reeled out that will happen. Number one, putting an end to transgression and sin. Number two, atoning for wickedness. Number three, bringing in everlasting righteousness. Number four, sealing up vision and prophecy. Number five, anointing the most holy one. That is YAHSHUA Messiah, who was baptized by John and, empowered by the Holy Spirit to commence his ministry. And that was about 27 AD. We are going to work out the mathematics briefly. Let's see how it happened. Now, Daniel chapter 9, 25 to 27, that's where the mass is. 7 sevens, or 7 7, there are 7 7 and the 62 sevens in verse 25. Read it. It says, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the prince shall be 7 weeks. Did you hear that? 7 weeks. From the time of restoring Jerusalem unto the time of Messiah the prince shall be what? 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. Let's have some explanation about this. Now, Daniel had been focusing on the 70 years of exile predicted by Jeremiah. Now, Gabriel was going to extend it. He did. He said, 490 years will come to you people. Your people will experience that. So Israel will live till that time. Daniel will be told not only about the end of the exile, but also about future events of even greater importance. Here in chapter 24, here we come to one of the Old Testament's significant or important prophecy or revelation. And very difficult one to interpret. Very difficult. But Holy Spirit is giving his people idea of what is transpiring in these latter days. The coming of 77 of years, during which Yah will restore Israel, both physically and spiritually, is hereby stated. Gabriel tells Daniel that during those 490 years, a number of things are to be accomplished, which we just read out. Those 5 things that will happen: putting an end to transgression of sin, atoning for wickedness, bringing in everlasting righteousness, sealing up vision and prophecy, anointing the Most High, YAHSHUA Messiah, who is going to be baptized, and he will have the power of the Holy Spirit to do his work. So he will come on board. Daniel was told that he will rest. He will not be part of what will be going on in the later days. That is this particular end of the time. Now, verse 25 to 27 gives us an idea, very, very good idea of how this length of time worked about. Between the issuing of the decree to rebuild Jerusalem and the arrival of the Anointed One, from the time when they were in Babylon and they were about, Yahweh has assured them that they will go. From that time they will go. Now a decree will be issued before they will go. Now that decree that will be issued will enable them to move back home. And from that time to the number that was given to Daniel, if you calculate it, it will come out to 27 CE. Now let's look at this. 7 of sevens and 62 sevens in verse 25. A total of 69 sevens were given, or 483 years. The issue of the decree to rebuild Jerusalem took place in 457 BC, or before the Common Era. It is decree issued to Ezra by Artaxerxes or Artaxerxes in Ezra chapter 7, 11 to 26. We don't have time to read it. That is where that decree was issued. Artaxerxes was the one who implemented the decree of Yahweh that Israel must go. So from the time he signed that decree that Israel, that is Judah, will leave Babylon and go and rebuild their land and build their temple, was within the year 457 BC. It is the decree issued to Ezra by Artaxerxes. Now, if one counts 483 years from 457 BC, one arrives at 27 CE. If you subtract that 457 from 483, you will arrive at 27 CE. That was the time Yahshua came in and started his ministry. So this prophecy was very, very accurate. Very, very accurate. The date of the beginning of the Messiah's ministry, when he was anointed by the Holy Spirit. Mark chapter 1, 9 to 11. Mark. Somebody read it for me. Mark. Somebody want to close here quickly. Mark chapter 1, 9 to 11. Because everything that was pronounced was given to us by Yahshua when he started his ministry. They played out. And it came to pass in those days that Yahshua came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized of John in Jordan. That was in 27 CE, Common Era. And straightway coming up out of the water, he saw the heavens opened and the Spirit like a dove descending upon him, because we are told that he's going to be baptized and anointed by the Holy Spirit. And there came a voice from heaven saying, "Thou art my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased," the Father ordaining him. And immediately the Spirit drove him into the wilderness. That was his anointing. The Father anointed him. Matthew chapter 3. Matthew chapter 3. Matthew chapter 3. 13 to 17. Matthew 3, 13 to 17. Then cometh Yahshua from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be baptized of him. But John forbade him, saying, "I have needed to be baptized of thee, and comest thou to me?" And Yahshua answering said unto him, "Suffice it to so now, for thus it becometh us to fulfill all righteousness." Then he suffered him. And Yahshua, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water, and lo, the heavens were opened unto him, and he saw the Spirit of Yahweh descending like a dove, and the lightning upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. This fulfilled the prophecy of Daniel here, up to this point. YAHSHUA came, he took over. By that time, the temple has been rebuilt, and the walls of Jerusalem has been built, and the people settled. YAHSHUA came on board, and he began his ministry. What happened? Something happened. The prophecy is still going on. It hasn't completed yet. And between the issuing of the decree to the rebuilding Jerusalem and the arrival of Anointed One, that is Messiah, there will be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. That is a total of 69 sevens of 483 years, the issuing of the decree to rebuild Jerusalem that gave us that 457 BC. Let's move to verse 25. According to verse 25, that 483 years is divided into 7 sevens. That is 49 years. The time required for the rebuilding of Jerusalem, and 62 sevens, the time between the rebuilding of the city and the anointing of YAHSHUA. Then in verse 26, Daniel wrote this. After the 62 sevens, the Anointed One will be cut off. That's where they will kill YAHSHUA. So that YAHSHUA has to do his work for 3.5 years. He will be cut off. This was written to Israel. Did Israel read this? Did they know this? Did they understand this? And by the time they were speculating to kill him, YAHSHUA charged them in John chapter 8. You want to kill me? He said, no. You have mental problem. You have demon. Who said you want to kill you? I just said, you want to kill me. Because YAHSHUA knew what was written of him that they want to do unto him. They said no. They denied. Did they do that? They did. YAHSHUA was indeed cut off, crucified 3 years later, after the 62 sevens run out. According to verse 26, after YAHSHUA is cut off, the people of the ruler, that is Roman Empire, they are the people in the Bible here called the people of the ruler. Now, they will destroy the city and the sanctuary. Did that happen? History told us it happened. After cutting YAHSHUA off, what did they do? YAHSHUA did tell his people that in 70 AD, the temple will go down. Jerusalem will be destroyed. And that was what happened. That exactly fulfilled the prophecy of Daniel. Very accurate. Indeed, the Romans under Titus destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD. Then Daniel writes, war will continue until the end. YAHSHUA himself thought that wars and hardships would continue right up to the end of the present age. Mark chapter 13, 1-8. Notice that these events described in verse 26 take place after the 7 sevens and the 62 sevens have passed. But what has happened to the final 7? What of the final 7? We have now described what happened, the duration from the time they left Jerusalem, they left Babylon, to the rebuilding of the temple and the walls, and YAHSHUA coming in, and the cutting of YAHSHUA, and YAHSHUA ascended into heaven. Then there is a little gap there. By 70 AD, Jerusalem will fall. Now look at what Luke wrote about the fall of Jerusalem. And this will tell you who is living there now. Who is an Israelite today. Listen very well. Luke chapter 21. Luke 21. From verse 20. Listen to YAHSHUA. He warned his people. They didn't pay attention. Look, the problem we have is that we are not obeying his instruction. The Father's instruction, the YAHSHUA's instruction. And that's why many people will be caught in what is coming. Because if you are not, if you don't glue yourself to his word, to what he wrote, the instruction, you'll be caught. There's no way. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is near. How will they know? It happened then. It's a typological prophecy. It's going to happen again. That's a type. A type of it is going to repeat in these latter days. And when ye see, verse 21, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Will you be in town? No. He said, run away from the towns, run away from cities. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter therein. Those who are coming from outside, do not enter into the city, do not enter into the town. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. What are those things that are written? Yahshua is looking at the prophets, Daniel, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, all the prophets. They wrote about this. Then he was narrating to them what those prophets, that those things that were sealed, he opened them and made them known to his people. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, women with children. They're going to be in serious problem, because they may not run away because of their children, and most of them will be caught. And to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land of Israel. Where Israel is today, Jerusalem is today, is going to be in trouble. This present Jerusalem is going to be in a mess. It's a pity. And the wrath upon these people, remember, Yahweh said, wrath, Yahweh's wrath is going to fall upon them. Why? Today, what are you seeing there? Why did the temple fall? They were worshiping image. Remember Ezekiel chapter 8, the story in Ezekiel chapter 8, where in the temple, Yahweh called the man of Yah, go, I will show you this all those spots where they have planted images of idols. And they were worshiping Yahweh, and they were worshiping those things at the same time. That's why the temple went, destroyed the temple. So the people, the wrath, because in the whole of Jerusalem, the whole of this so-called place called Israel, they are today worshiping Satan. Clearly. They worship Jesus there. They worship Muhammad there. They worship all different religions are there. The way of Yahweh is not religion. Why did they choose to worship whatever they worship there? Different hidden nations, Gentile nations, they took over the place. That is why the place is going to be in a messy situation after Yahweh would have dealt with the environment. And the wrath upon these people, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and they shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Is the time of Gentiles, is it fulfilled already? No. It's still going on. He said they will control Jerusalem right from 2,000 years ago. 70 AD, when that place fell, he said the people that are going to occupy it are going to be Gentile world. They are going to rule there. They are going to govern there until their time is up. Romans chapter 11 verse 25, read it. Revelation chapter 11 verse 2. You will understand what he's talking about. Stay there. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, and the sea, and the waves roaring. Brethren, problem is coming. People haven't said, because there will be earthquake, there will be roaring of the waters everywhere. There will be flood, massive flood going on across the world. Earthquake here and there. There will be, signs from heaven. People have not started seeing signs. Lots of things are going to happen in these later days. Now, we read in Matthew 24, verse 6. Maybe we'll be closing from here. Matthew 24, verse 6. And he told us that is the gap. That is the very gap. Yahshua mentioned that. Because what was written in Daniel, how it will be fulfilled up to the time Yahshua will come and be cut off, that he will be crucified and he will ascend into heaven, there will be a gap. And he mentioned that gap. Matthew 24, verse 6. Matthew 24, verse 6. Yeah. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars in these latter days. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Now, in that 70 AD, when Jerusalem fell, from that point till this time, there has been what? A gap. And what followed all those things has been wars, rumors of wars, problem, famine, earthquake, nation rising against nation. That has continued, but it's going to increase in tempo in these latter days. When you see it begin to increase, the 7 weeks is about to start. When will you catch up with the 7 weeks? How will you know that the 7 weeks is up? I mean, it has started. How will you know? You will know by putting your eyes. Watching. Say watch and pray. Because while you watch, you pray, he will reveal. He will reveal. People in some years past would not know. Anybody that tells you this is the time or this is the beast is lying. Yahshua didn't give us. He didn't tell us the time. So how will you know? You will know by watching. You will know by following his word, following his instruction, and praying to him, because the Spirit will minister to you along the time. If you are not in the Spirit, you will not know. You will not know. Because the beast will come camouflage. Already they have pocketed what they call all the war religions, and they have made them to believe that each and every of their Messiah is real. In Christendom, for instance, because the Christendom is where the mark is coming. It's where the beast is anchoring. That is where their own Messiah is going to spring up. And that Messiah is going to come with wonder. So having brainwashed people that Sabbath is gone, Sunday is the day, they believe it. And he will rule in everything within the knowledge they possess already. And at the end of the day, they will just believe who can sink her, what the beast will be telling them. And there will be no different from what they have been practicing before. So they fall along, they fall in line, even to worship the beast. Even to worship. Now they say, oh, microchip this one. They say, oh, Bible said, book of Revelation, this one, that is not microchip. It is microchip. Microchip is the... We use all that to deceive them. Then when the real worship will, will be staged, when he will command and control human beings to go down and worship, as Nebuchadnezzar did, they will not know. Because they have already been washed. They are following. But only those that are wise. Daniel said that when it begins to happen, those that are wise will know. And those that are wise are. How will you know now? How would you know when somebody will ask you that he is the best pope, the best Messiah, the best, prophet? Bow and worship me. Now you know that you can't worship human being. You will never worship. That is what the instruction says. Worship no man. The instructions also says that you should not worship on what is called, the one that you are going to worship has a particular day. Though there is other days that we are given, but there is this particular day that he said is a holy day. What is that holy day? Is it the first day or second day or the last day of the week? So you have to know by following the instruction. You will keep in the path of the Yahweh's own way. So that when somebody says deviate a little bit, or it is to the left or to the right, you say, no, this is what the instruction says. This is how we are going to escape. Otherwise, those who are still within the confine of lies and deception, they will be swept away. Don't know whether you are getting understanding of what I'm trying to narrate here. But the truth remains that we must be focused. We must be consistent. We must be zealous. We must crave for Yahweh's instruction. Follow it. Who can sing? Follow it without turning to the left or to the right, without looking at anybody. Follow it, even if an angel comes and tell you Yahshua is there. Yahshua has changed that. Yahshua has changed that. Follow what is written. Because he said you will not see him again until that day when you will see him coming from heaven. Are you ready for that? Or are you ready for what you are hearing? Because there's a lot of twists today. There's a lot of messages today. There's a lot of information flowing here and there. Oh, Armageddon is coming. Armageddon will not. What is Armageddon? Is it the end of the earth? No, Armageddon is not the end of the earth. Armageddon is not even the war. Armageddon is Megiddo. The Hebrew name is Megiddo. Somewhere around Jerusalem, close to Jerusalem. That is where the enemy, this beast, is going to call the whole world leaders to bring their soldiers. They are going to 200 million man soldiers. They are going to stage there and wait for Yahshua. Say, okay, come. All the whole thing they have been preparing since the beginning of the earth, they are going to use it to wage war against Yahshua. Say, come. There will be no war fighting physically. They are going to just station to wait Yahshua as he will be coming. Because they will say, the alien, the one that is going to consume all of you is coming. Arise, let us destroy him before he comes and get at us. They are achieving that. They are working towards that. But they will first of all sit their beast, put in their one world government. The kings of the earth, the globalists of the earth, they are doing that to make sure that the beast begins with his government, and the beast will rule 3.5 years. It will be good. He will preach good news. He will preach peace, and people will love him. People will buy everything he's saying, and they say, you are the one we are waiting. We have starved. We've been living in famine. Inflation has taken everywhere. War has taken. People have disease everywhere, because he's going to pledge and promise them heaven and earth. They are going to follow him. At the end of the 3.5 years, the reverse will be the case. The opposite will be the case. He will begin to slaughter. He will begin to kill. He will uproot nations. Some countries he will destroy. Some people he will destroy. But more so the target is Israel. Wherever Israel are. But Yahweh says, my people will go into wilderness. Revelation chapter 12. Are you ready to go into wilderness? You can only go into wilderness if you are following. Can only go into wilderness if you are listening. Can only go into wilderness if you are applying Yahweh's instruction and follow him daily. We must follow him daily. We must love him. We must obey him. We must do what he asks us to do. Or else, what happened to Nadab and Abihu and Sapphira and Ananias, who thought we are obeying instruction, but grace abound. Let us do it our own way. They were swept away. They were led in the Bible. They were put in the Bible. Their stories were put in the Bible so that we get knowledge, we get understanding, we get the picture of what is coming in these latter days. Because Yahweh will have no mercy. He will not have any mercy to anybody who is wishy-washy, who is not willing to obey his instruction and do his will. May Yahweh open your eyes to see. May he give you ears to hear. May he give us all understanding to follow him and to live in his instruction. And may we not be swept away when the trouble will ensue. Yahweh bless you.